KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning, Jumbo. Hola, Hotep, what's up? And God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my first thing today, tomorrow, yesterday, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and let's go. Happy MLK Day. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to do, so much going on. And you can check in if you need information or you just want to, have some conversation here. 800-920-1580. Typically, this is what we do. The first hour, we look to the left coast, what's going on over here in Cali and our neighbors on the Pacific side of town. In hour two, we open up the phone lines, freestyle phones, and go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person of interest or perhaps a hot topic, something to go a little bit more in depth about. And today is no exception. We will be talking with Chiquita Twyman, who is the sister of Ryan Twyman, who, was killed by sheriff's deputies. And there was a resolution in that case, some sort of resolution at the end of the week last week. So we'll get an update on that. A rare case of some measure of accountability on the part of the L.A. County Sheriff's Department. So we'll talk about that. And you're always invited in, not just on the phone, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. You're invited in on socials. It's KBLA 1580 on every single platform. And please like, subscribe, and follow while you're there. Streaming right now on YouTube, KBLA 1580. Same address everywhere you go. I'm really excited to have with me on the air this morning a grassroots organizer, originally from South Central Los Angeles, California. She says her experience as a working class first-generation college student as well as a black woman has informed her lens as an organizer. She works with the Reimagine L.A. Coalition, also a member of Black Lives Matter L.A., did a lot of work around Measure J, and also served on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee for the School of Social Work at the University of Southern California, served as a co-chair for the USC Black Social Work Caucus, and so much more. Megan Castillo, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for jumping on with me this morning. It was an incredibly busy week last week, and I think sometimes with all these national headlines and the 12 flavors of Trump crazy, we can lose sight of victories and lose sight of what's going on here at home.
Yes. We've had a lot of victories, especially with local organizing here in Los Angeles. So super, super excited and a great week last week.
Yeah, and it seems like a great way to start off MLK Day, right? To focus on some victories and look at the why, the how, and the what's next of those scenarios. Of course, the big elephant in the room is Chief Michel Moore stepping down. The announcement seemed kind of sudden, actually. Of course, probably not to organizers like yourself who have been calling for him to take all the seats for several years now.
That's right. It's been a long railroad, about 3 years in the making, of organizers with Black Lives Matter Los Angeles in particular at the helm, leading the charge to fire LAPD Chief Moore, who has been largely responsible for the dramatic increase in the policing here in Los Angeles, the police violence and abuse against Angelenos, in particular policing against Black folks, right, and unhoused residents. So we're super, super excited about that.
Yeah, Chief Moore said that he was stepping down because of his family. He wants to spend more time with his family. I remember Chief Beck said the same thing. I can't remember how many weeks it was, but I know BLMLA was protesting down at City Hall for actually camped out down there for weeks and weeks. And then he finally got the sudden urge to spend time with his family. And so it's I guess it's the same sort of, it's like I feared for my life. I guess it's what you say when you're leaving. I want to spend time with my family. Uh, how do you read that?
Yeah, I read that as cap, right? He's capping. He's capping for himself and trying to cover up. But really, we like to say he was fired by the people. He was fired by the people. Stepping down is a cover up. Ultimately, we stayed on him. We stayed on him. We have a successful track record of ousting elected officials who are problematic and folks of power who are problematic. For example, Jackie Lacey, as you mentioned, Chief Beck, and now Michael Moore. We'll be able to add this list of ousting folks who are responsible for the harm of folks here in Los Angeles. I mean, under Chief Moore, of course, LAPD is one of the most murderous and corrupt police departments in the nation, right? And so rather than accountability, he's been responsible for numerous budget increases. And so we're, again, super ecstatic that he was heeding the cause to leave, right? Because he didn't even have the support of folks on the inside. So, and that just speaks to his character. And we're super excited about that.
It's surprising because he just fought to get his position renewed, right? And he completed his 5 years, which would have been his original term, only 6 months ago. So I think most people expected him to stick around for at least a couple years of those 5. Not that people wanted it. It's interesting. Erica Smith in her LA Times article, she says that the headline is that he was. It was presented. The narrative was that he wanted to spend more time with his family, but in reality, the people wanted change. You agree with that?
That's right. That's absolutely correct. I mean, spend more time with his family. He's got grown children. It's not like they're young folks. He's got grown children. I mean, spending time with his family, again, is just an excuse to heed the cause. Folks have been chasing him down at the police commission and really just offering public comment and really staying on him. We've launched numerous petitions that have garnered over thousands of responses and signatories calling for his resignation and calling for him to step down. And so, again, we take this as a victory, right? We take this as a victory of, again, ousting another person who has completely failed the residents of Los Angeles County. We're super excited about that. And, again, his calling it a retirement or, a way to just spend more time with his family is, again, a cover-up.
Yeah, I mean, to me, just the brevity. I fight like hell to keep my job, and then 6 months later, I'm out. That's just there's something suspicious about that.
Not
You know
adding
what I
up.
mean? Nobody fights that hard for an extra 6 months on a job. I don't think.
That's right. That's right.
And tell me about hashtag No More More and the petitions that you talked about. I mean, it seems like with Black Lives Matter LA in some of the other, because there were other activist organizations calling for him to step down as well, but really led by BLMLA. There's always different tactics. Like I remember with Chief Beck, you guys were camped out at City Hall. There was actually people sleeping there. With
Right.
Jackie Lacey, it was more of a follow her everywhere she goes type of scenario, and show up and challenge her. And with Moore, there was what going on?
Yes, there was a host of things, which also include, like I said, staying on them with public comment and making sure that we're in their face and making sure that, Chief Moore and the rest of the police department is aware of the harms that they have caused. Under Chief Moore's watch, LAPD, again, has violently targeted community organizers, including, targeting members of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, and in particular targeting Dr. Melina Abdullah, Moore utilized his personal security to accuse and detain French citizens while traveling overseas.
That was crazy. You can't just go to another country and arrest their people. Like, who does that? That was crazy.
Right. It's wild. I mean, he, really created conditions that enabled, like, gun scandals where officers and civilian workers, were able to obtain guns on the streets. And of course, there was an investigation that was launched as a result of the 2020 uprisings, where, it was found that LAPD, again, was targeting organizers, and that these tactics, use of attacking protesters was used during 2020. And it's just really, naming the mistreatment and the fact that there were several lawsuits, it's just incredible, right? And so all of this was named in our petition, again, which garnered thousands upon thousands of signatures. I want to say it was somewhere around just thousands, probably about 3,000, 4,000 signatures in the span of a few months, where we really called out the lack of oversight and the willingness and unwillingness to hold officers accountable, and in particular to call out Chief Moore's bullying and bribing and horrendous budget allocations toward LAPD. Again, we're super stoked to see this man step down.
Yeah, I mean, and we always say it's important to celebrate our victories, but we don't always stop down to do it. We're going to do a little bit of that in the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King. I want to talk about, some more of the reasons why he had to go. I also want to talk about what's next when we come forward, and another victory, which we'll be doing a deeper dive in and later in the show today, but just your overview on that. And what is on the horizon. So we have a lot to talk about. Megan Castillo is my guest. You're welcome in, 800-920-1580. And this is Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique Baraka when we come forward.
Cover California is a free service from the state that's already helped millions of people like you get and pay for health insurance. With financial help to lower the cost of health coverage, you could get a quality health plan for less than $10 a month. Every plan covers preventive care, doctor visits, emergency care, and more. If you have questions, we're here to help every step of the way. Cover California, this way to health insurance. Enroll by January 31st at coveredca.com.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice and injustice, the courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Taco Bell just dropped the new Cravings Value Menu. Now you can get 10 items for $3 or less, which means you can get the food you want for the price you want. It's almost like you can have your cake and eat it too. But in this case, it's a double-stacked taco from the new Cravings Value Menu. So basically, you can have your double-stacked taco and eat it too, which is a lot crunchier than cake. The new Cravings Value Menu is here. Get it at Taco Bell today. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations while supplies last. Contact store for price and participation which vary. Tax extra.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast with a buck here, buck there. Here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-DO.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, activist, organizer, and of course, a member of BLMLA, Megan Castillo, is my guest today. We're talking about the the resignation of Chief Michel Moore. I know Dr. Melina Abdullah says the people fired him, but we didn't even talk about blowing up an entire neighborhood.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Yes. It was absolutely horrendous. It was he greenlit this, and those folks are still displaced, right? Like the folks who live in that neighborhood are still displaced by the actions of the LAPD. So, yeah.
They literally just detonated a bunch of explosives in the neighborhood. Cars, apartments in shambles, still not built back. So when something like this happens and he steps down, and we also didn't talk about the piece where he said, where it is alleged, let me put it that way, by 2 LAPD officers that he asked them to launch an investigation into Mayor Karen Bass after we know that the police union spent millions of dollars to prevent her from being elected.
Right. It's scandal upon scandal. I mean, honestly, it's not the first of the last of his offenses, I'm sure, despite him, resigning. But I mean, prior to the uprising, I shared a little bit about, the tactics used against organizers and protesters during the uprisings. But there was a long history of Chief Moore's abuses prior to then, right? I mean, he used white supremacist media outlet like Breitbart to recruit LAPD officers. He, enabled anti-Black racism, again, by allowing Black people to be stopped by LAPD at 5 times their population share and searched at 3 times the rate of everyone else. And again, he's really just fostered this culture of corruption where officers in South Central were found to have been illegally and unjustly entering the names of Black and brown residents into gang databases. This is all under his watch. The list continues. The list is extensive.
Yeah. So when something like this happens and, it is a victory for you, how do you solidify that, or how do you hold the line? What's next?
I mean, for us, we really continue the work, in particular to hold folks accountable. We're always at the LA Police Commission meetings, right, really demanding accountability for, quote-unquote officer-involved shootings, but really the misconduct of LAPD. We've been really championing for community pressure and advocacy, and as a result of community pressure and advocacy, we have pushed the commission meeting to be more accessible in ways that it hasn't been in the most recent iterations due to the pandemic or whatever have you. And, we've spent the last 3 years really reminding the police commission that the voice of the people really, really matters. And that we know what we need, and we need to ensure that we're able to hold our elected officials and our officials accountable. And so we're super excited that they are they've held or will hold their first police commission meeting, quote unquote, in the community at a time that is accessible. And we know that power concedes nothing without a demand. So we're going to continue to show up there so that we can, again, make sure that we're finding instances where police officers are using excessive force out of policy, because that is the first step to ensuring that we get these harmful police officers off our streets.
So the police commission you're referring to is at the WLCIC. I was laughing because they go from one extreme to the other, right?
Right. It's like down at downtown LA, and then it's right in the heart. So, but nonetheless, this is really the result of community pressure. This is the result of the folks who have been leading this work, like Paula Miner and our partners at LA Can and Stop LAPD Spying. So, we're seeing the fruits of our labor really bear good fruit.
Yeah. In despite, for me, one of the things that resonated when I heard that Chief Moore was stepping down was this. Kind of a reminder that even though you might not see thousands and millions of people in the streets worldwide anymore, like we saw in 2020, the reverberations of that on the wider level and the people, the cadre of organizers that continue to do the work, have not ceased to have an impact. It's still making change. It's still forcing change. And even if we don't notice it because it's not as dramatic and it's no longer featured on the news, those efforts that everybody made to march and those efforts that y'all continue to make as organizers continue to create change and different outcomes.
Yes. I mean, that is one of the things that I think Black Lives Matter Los Angeles in particular is really, really good at, and that's the consistency. I think one of our movement elders, Baba Akili, likes to say, Black Lives Matter is demand-driven, and I think we hold true to that, right? He makes three very, very clear observations, right? That we are demand-driven, we're Black-centered, and we're direct action-focused. And I really think those three things together, right, is what helps to yield and push for the victories that we are seeing. It's really important that we make sure that we're not, so broad, but that we're so focused and that we're so key on pushing for these things, and that we don't move on to the next thing, the next shiny thing, but that we stay focused. I mean, again, just the Chief Beck was 3 years in the making. Jackie Lacey was 3 years in the making. We have a campaign that's ending police associations because they bully and bribe our elected officials as well. And that's going on 150 weeks, right? And so it really is the consistency that helps to yield these very fruitful wins for our folks locally here in Los Angeles.
And when you say 150 weeks, you're talking about 150 weeks of protest. You can join. It's happening this Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
Yeah, at 4 p.m. down at, is it 1313 West 8th? No. I don't know.
1313. It's 1313 West 8th Street. And it's right in front of the Police Protective League. And also in front of the ACLU, where there's a beautiful mural of folks who have been organizing and doing incredible work locally and elsewhere. It's one of my favorite actions because we have music and we have food, we have snacks, but more than that, we really get to hear from the families of those who have been directly impacted by law enforcement abuse, and we really get to uplift the names of those who have been killed by LAPD or by folks who have been killed inside our jail system, right? And so it harkens back to us not forgetting.
Yeah.
Right.
Got to leave it right there. We've got news, traffic, and sports, and then we'll continue with Megan Castillo and you on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby says the U.S. has had intense talks with Israel to lower the intensity of its attack in Gaza. Speaking on CBS's Face the Nation, Kirby said Israel has taken some steps to get there, including fewer airstrikes and pulling some troops out. He didn't say there's a specific timetable for the transition to a lower intensity phase, other than to say it's coming very, very soon. President Biden says he still has confidence in Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin after controversy surrounding his recent hospitalization. Recently, Austin was in the hospital for 3 days before the White House was notified. Biden said he still was confident in Austin, but also said the Defense Secretary demonstrated a lapse in judgment. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and VINnews.com.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A very busy sports Sunday. We start with the Rams. Impressive performance at Detroit, but they lose by 1. The Rams finished the season at 10-8. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua set an NFL record for most receiving yards for a rookie. 181 yards on 9 catches and 1 touchdown. The Chargers are in the news. They will be the first NFL team to interview Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh for their head coach position. The two sides are getting together in the next couple of days. The Clippers lose by 4 at Minnesota, 26 points for Kawhi Leonard. USC's women's basketball team handed UCLA their first loss of the season. The second-ranked Bruins lost by 8 in front of a sellout crowd at Galen Center. They were 14-0. USC freshman guard Juju Watkins had a game-high 32 points. The 5th time this season, Watkins has scored 30 or more. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
She's so smooth. So I'm interrupting my own shower to remind you to treat your skin like the queen she is with Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash, packed with Olay's highest level of vitamin B3 complex. It's so moisturizing that it will give you visibly smoother, head-turning skin in just 14 days. People wondering, how'd she get so smooth? Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash. Also, try Olay Hyaluronic Body Lotion.
Skincare is self-care, and with daily beauty steals of 50% off during Ulta Beauty's Love Your Skin event, I can find everything I need to make loving my skin a daily practice, from brands like Osea, Lancome, and Tula. And I can shop weekly skin and wellness deals of 30% off more must-have brands. Plus, see what's new from brands like Bubble and in select stores, Sol de Janeiro and Ulla Henriksen. Hurry, event ends January 20th. Shop in store, online, or try pickup today. Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are beautiful. Conditions apply.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Now you can get a Walmart Plus membership, plus not pay for it, because it's included with Straight Talk wireless plans. You get free delivery with Walmart Plus a Paramount Plus subscription included. Plus, you pay less for gas. That's a lot of pluses.
Only Straight Talk gives you unlimited 5G data and Walmart Plus included on select plans for free.
Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Requires service on Gold or Platinum Unlimited. One offer per eligible account. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. Additional terms apply.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
When you're rolling Charmin, ultra soft on the potty. Less is more, so roll it back.
Charmin Ultra Soft is irresistibly soft and more absorbent, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing to keep the Grinch away from the toy drive.
Who's going to deliver the toys to the kids?
What about me, the Grinch?
No. Yep, even easier than that.
You steal the presents one time.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Capital One NA, member FDIC. Copyright Dr. Seuss Enterprises. Copyright Turner Entertainment Company.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like the style, though.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And today we have the pleasure of also waking up with Megan Castillo on the phone this morning. She's a grassroots organizer. She's an Angelino, one of those ones that's actually born and raised, and an organizer with Black Lives Matter L.A. So you were talking about, what happens after and how you sustain the movement with, being consistent is the key. I know there's a number of campaigns going on right now that have also been quite consistent. You mentioned End Police Associations, which is every Wednesday at 4. Another one is the People's Budget. That's ongoing now, right, too?
Yes, that's one of my favorite, actually. So the People's Budget work is work that has long been going on, but it's basically our campaign to right-size LA City's budget. We know that the LAPD gets a lion's share of the city's budget. That's largely coming from our taxpayer dollars. And if you ask anybody, they'll tell you they do not really want more policing on our street, and they don't want more of their tax dollars in particular to go toward policing. And so we survey LA City residents to ask them just what do they want, and we find that they would like their tax dollars to go toward housing and mental health and youth services and 24-hour youth centers and education and mental health services and so on and so forth. And so then we, propose this report, the People's Budget Report and the People's Budget to the mayor. And we say, look, this is what the people want and how can you implement that? And so just last year, we invited Mayor Karen Bass to the Center for Black Power and hosted a town hall where we presented the People's Budget directly to her, which is, we did this iteration back in 2020 at the city council meeting. It was the first where we've had the mayor actually come and listen. And so that, again, is also when that work continues well until we have, again, a budget that reflects our values.
Yeah. So anyone can fill it out right now. I guess it's really ramping up because budget season is around the corner. And I know the link is there on the BLMLA website, right?
That's right. You can fill it out by going to peoplesbudgetla.com/survey, and you'll be able to take it so long as you are a resident of LA City. We want to hear your feedback, right? We want to make sure that it's incorporated because things shift. 1 year people may want to focus more so on housing, and next year people may want to focus more so on mental health. But nonetheless, we do want to get that very real feedback and see, just where do folks want their tax dollars to go.
So many, you mentioned that there's quite a few victories. I don't want to leave something out that you're thinking of. So I want to, open it up, Megan Castillo, for you to talk about whatever you want. But at least touch quickly on the case of Sheriff's Deputy Andrew Lyons, who was actually will spend some jail time. He was convicted for the killing of 24-year-old Ryan Twyman, which that was in 2019, right? So talk a little bit about that.
Yes, that was in 2019. Two sheriff deputies drove up to an apartment complex here in Los Angeles and in South Central. And, there's video footage that shows that the deputies got out of their car and pointed guns at a parked vehicle and opened fire and fired a total of over 30 rounds and shot and killed Ryan Twyman, who was in that car. And so it is really horrible. It's really horrible. It's, frustrating that it is taking this amount of time, especially when there's evidence and so on and so forth. But there's some sense of accountability. We don't necessarily say it's justice, right? Because justice would mean that Ryan Twyman, who was done, would still be here. But there's some accountability, right, where the officers who were involved have been, will get some jail time. And so this is a victory, right? But we want to make sure that we're staying on it, and we're excited that he's been sentenced.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a lot of jail time, and some folks were disappointed by that, but I think we also need to recognize it's extremely rare for LAPD or LA sheriff's deputies to receive actual jail time. He's going to serve 30 days. He's going to pay fines and fees, which they haven't shared the amount, and he will be on probation for 2 years. It's interesting that he was actually seems weird that he killed Ryan Twyman in 2019, but wasn't fired until much later, and then wasn't charged until 2022.
Right. I mean, and that's where the frustrations lie. But even in, as you said, this is a rarity, and so it really sets precedents for more convictions for, law enforcement who kill our community members to be held responsible. And ultimately, again, as we continue to shed light on this, we hope and pray that this can, happens less and less, right? And that, law enforcement officers don't get to kill our community members and get off or have delayed accountability. And so we again are grateful and happy that this is really against that precedent for holding law enforcement accountable.
When Twyman's attorneys, Lyons' attorneys, the attorneys for the deputy, got in front of the media and said that he that it was a political prosecution by DA George Gascon, and that Lyons really didn't want to take that plea deal, but he only did it because it was in the best interest of his family. I just can't imagine a black defendant who had killed someone getting up and having his lawyers talk smack about the agreement and say, I really didn't do it, I just got pressured, and not having any repercussions for that. I feel like the judge would call you back in, or something would happen. Like, you just can't, be Donald Trump and just be out there talking smack about judges and prosecutors and saying, I didn't really mean it, I just pleaded that way for my family. That I found very offensive.
Right. I mean, it's disrespectful, and these are the kinds of folks who are out on our streets, quote unquote, patrolling, and again, committing harm against our people. And these are the kinds of folks that shouldn't be, right? And so we want to make sure that we're ousting them. And again, we're stoked that this sets precedents for this kind of accountability, because these are the folks that don't deserve and shouldn't have guns, right, and shouldn't be able to run rampant on our streets without any kind of remorse. And also want to, make sure that we're uplifting the family in this, right? Like, it was Ryan's mother who said that she was determined to fight to the end, and she did. Their family has been 10 toes down since his murder, and it's really important to remember them in situations like this, because it's not just the loss of life, but it's the aftermath of the family members who are left to really deal with this, day in and day out.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, they did settle with the county. There's a wrongful death lawsuit. They settled for $3.9 million. Now you went ahead and pleaded out, but put out a statement accusing D.A. Gascon of capitalizing on the loss of a bereaved family to wreck the career of a deputy. I just don't know how you get away with that, but apparently he is getting away with it. However, he will be spending some time in jail. He won't be a deputy ever again. And he is going to have to pay a fine, out of his own pocket, which is something I feel like if there was more of that, we'd see fewer cases like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We would definitely see less cases like this if folks, again, were held accountable. Because so often there's the cover-up, right? Folks are in collusion with the coroner's office and LAPD and so on and so forth, and the sheriff's department. And there's all this kind of collusion to really cover up the wrongdoing. And so once it comes out, you can't really hide. You can't really hide, and you do have to take accountability. So, we think that, what you're uplifting is sick. It's really sick, that he would say such things. But at the end of the day, he's getting fired and he has to pay up. So.
Yes, indeed. Talking with Megan Castillo. When we come forward, Megan, I want to ask you about it. It is MLK Day. Do you draw, what inspiration do you draw from past movement leaders, whether it might be MLK or others? And will you be celebrating today? Also, what are some of the other actions that folks can do today or in the spirit of Martin Luther King in the days ahead? It is supposed to be a day of service. I'm here serving on the radio, not sleeping, but we can do much more than that. So we'll talk about that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
When you use Bounce Dryer Sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce Dryer Sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Taco Bell just dropped the new Cravings Value Menu. Now you can get 10 items for $3 or less, which means you can get the food you want for the price you want. It's almost like you can have your cake and eat it too. But in this case, it's a double-stacked taco from the new Cravings Value Menu. So basically, you can have your double-stacked taco and eat it too, which is a lot crunchier than cake. The new Cravings Value Menu is here. Get it at Taco Bell today. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations while supplies last. Contact store for price and participation which vary. Tax extra.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
COVID-19 renter protections are ending for City of Los Angeles tenants. Know your rights and these 3 facts. February 1st is the deadline to pay rental arrears for rent owed from October 1st, 2021 to January 31st, 2023. Residential tenants cannot be evicted without a reason or just cause. You have 5 days to respond to an eviction notice from the court. Learn more at housing.lacity.org. That's housing.lacity.org. Be informed. Be protected, be at home.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the Ground Advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
Speaking with Megan Castillo. Hey, can we follow you on social media? I think I already do. If folks want to follow you, follow your work, how can they keep up?
Yeah, you can keep up. Follow Black Lives Matter Los Angeles on Instagram and Twitter. That's BLMLA on Twitter and BLM Los Angeles on Instagram. You could follow my organizing work at the county level, which would be Reimagine _LA. With the Reimagine L.A. Coalition, where we do a lot of budget work at the county level. Find me on all of the social media. So, and you can tap in with me personally at Megan at MEGANN .JJADE if you're interested.
Always interested. And Megan, I before we tapped out, I said, I don't want to miss anything that you're celebrating. I don't want to miss victories that you find significant. So what are you, whether it's looking back on 2023 or what's been happening in the beginning of this year, what is lifting you up and making you feel encouraged?
Yeah, we've had numerous wins in the past year. In 2023, we, again, stayed 10 toes down in our consistency and in our organizing work. We, again, ousted Chief Moore, sayonara. We just had the win with the family of Ryan Twyman. We brought home multiple of our movement elders, some of which who were able to transition in the privacy of their own home with their loved ones, including Matulu Shakur and Michelle McGee, Baba Michelle McGee. And so we're stoked about that. We've championed for more community oversight in some of our spaces, as I shared with the LA Police Commission. We have done a host of things that continue to encourage me. One of my personal favorites, again, is the work that's happening at the county level. Some of you always will remember in Los Angeles, we passed a ballot measure here called Measure J, and it was a ballot measure that was basically supposed to allocate at least 10% of the county's unrestricted funding toward alternatives to incarceration and community-based services. And law enforcement special interest groups lobbied against that ballot measure and sued the county and the courts. And so just this year, we learned that the ballot measure is in fact constitutional, and so that court case has been squashed. And so Measure J and its original formation lives on, and so we're super excited about that. It's supposed to be upwards of $900 million going directly toward community, and we just continue to bear good fruit. So I'm super stoked about all of the work that's ahead. What we like to call, and I've been trained to call, is survival pending revolution. And so we know that these are all incremental steps as we head toward the broader goal of abolition and building a world where we can really thrive and live. We didn't talk much about it, but all of this is really I think speaks to the radical legacy of our beloved ancestor, Martin Luther King Jr., and who has really set a example of what it means to resist, right, and what it means to engage against the system and really demand an end to white supremacy and really model radical love. And so all of the campaigns that we have, I think, really speak to that legacy, and honored to be able to just be a part of that long legacy.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about, speaking of legacies, it's MLK Day. Do you take any inspiration from Dr. King and, you know, in your work as a young activist?
Absolutely. I think about his charge, right, to really upend the triple evils and to name the triple evils that continue to plague our country. Those include militarism, war, and white supremacy and racism, and, of course, capitalism and poverty. And a lot of folks really like to gloss over the latter years of Martin Luther King, and we, of course, have a sanitized version, I think you alluded to, engaging in service today. And I think the real charge with Martin Luther King is to make sure that you're engaging in the real work, to make sure that we are building a collective power and a movement that really allows for those who find themselves at the intersection of oppression to live full and whole lives, right? And so how do we engage in, again, that radical love that allows for our community members to bear and live full lives, I think is the true legacy, and not just volunteering at a garden, a local garden, but really doing the real work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, wait, what does service mean to you? Hopefully it means something transformational for your community in terms of, you know, justice and progress for people. But it's a good point, because I think one of the things you guys talk about is the radical king, and remembering that one of the reasons that, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King didn't get to live out his life was because of his opposition to the Vietnam War and his insistence on jobs and justice for all.
That's right. That's absolutely right. That is exactly why. I mean, you could say he was arguably one of the most hated men, you know, at the time of his death. And so while he is uplifted today, at the time, you know, he had been thrown into jail over 29 times, and he survived 2 assassination attempts, right? So we just have to really put all that Dr. King was into context, and also remember that he wasn't alone in that fight, right?
Yeah.
He also was in partnership with folks like his wife, Coretta Scott King, and Bayard Rustin, and Ella Baker, who's one of my favorite organizers, and Fannie Lou Hamer, and Rosa Parks, and so many others who really were freedom fighters who we often don't talk about. But he wasn't alone in that fight, and he wasn't alone in that legacy. And I think that truly is what it means to engage in that beloved community that he spoke so much about.
Well, you know, I appreciate the work that you're doing. I mean, it's amazing the way that, you know, our movement, our commitment, our knowledge just seems to go generation after generation through folks like you. And I appreciate the hard work that you're doing and your dedication and knowledge.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me, Dominique. I certainly appreciate it. It's always a joy to be on the air with you.
Appreciate you as well. It's Monday. That means we've got Mindful Mondays coming up next. We do that every Monday, top of the second hour with Sahara Ali. Let's get our intentions together. Let's get ourselves balanced. Let's get ourselves grounded for the week ahead. That's next. And then your phone calls on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from to lower the intensity of its attack in Gaza. Speaking on CBS's Face the Nation, Kirby said